Hi and welcome to another edition of Top Tips Tuesday. So this week's tip is for those understanding a property valuation report. We have a lot of reports about these reports, valuations come in at all sorts of prices. So just today's tips for those getting a property valuation and trying to make sense and understand the report in a bit more detail. So there's a big difference between what's called a bank valuation and a market valuation. So when the banks send out a property value to value your property, they're generally very conservative because they are lending the money for that property and they're looking at recent sales of the market, as opposed to a real estate agent that would look at listing that property and they might be more aware of the demand for that property and recent sales and how they impact that specific property, because each property, remember, is very unique and has different features. So we quite often in the property industry refer to a CMA report. So what is this and how does it relate? So it's called a comparative market analysis. So the best way of getting a true market valuation is looking at what other properties or similar properties are selling for. Again, because each property is unique, there will be quite a bit of difference and variance, but we're looking at those recent sales and seeing how they're comparing to our target property. And companies like CoreLogic, RP Data, Price Finder, etc., they will have these professional valuation reports, and that's the best way to look at those other previous sales, recent sales. Just remember, each property is unique, so it might be in the same land size, but there might be a difference in the build size, the quality of the construction, the fit out of the actual property, the aspect of the property, the actual street the property is in. Could be on a main road, would be very different value to a property on a side street or a cul-de-sac. So all those little things can really impact on the valuation. And that's not always related in the bank valuation. That's why sometimes the bank valuation is always not what you expect the property to be worth. The fourth thing is there's a big difference between new and existing property. Just like you looking at a brand new car and then comparing it to your trade-in car, which I'm just going through the process now, which my trade-in car is 5 years old and it's worth less than half of the new car price. Same with property. When they value a new property, they're comparing against older existing properties, and properties devalue, the buildings go down in value. So it's very hard to relate that new property compared to an older property. Again, that's why quite often there's some disparity. Fifthly, can we challenge the valuation if it's for finance purposes? Yeah, absolutely. Not always successful, but it's definitely worth asking the question. So if you're relying on that for bank finance, your finance specialist, your bank or your broker may have a few options there. So you could order another valuation report from another valuer. You can show the valuer recent sales in that CMA report that I mentioned. So if you've got evidence of higher sales than your bank valuation, definitely worth producing that report and giving that to the valuer and see if they will reassess your valuation. So again, it's very reliant on the actual valuer, and generally the bank valuations are quite conservative because they are lending the money for that property that you're about to purchase. So I hope that's helped explaining the process. If you like the checklist, you're welcome to reach out. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and see you next week.